Viewers, very warm welcome to another episode of V News English program Perspectives, in which we bring before you some of the most informed perspectives from the leading experts and authorities on issues that affect the global and regional peace, security, stability, and economy. Thank you so much for joining us. Today, we are doing this program at a time when the nuclear-armed South Asian region seems to be again facing a deepening crisis between two nuclear-armed neighbors with a long history of crisis, conflict, and acrimony. So in order to discuss its various aspects, the current environment, the possibility, and particularly how Pakistan and India can face off, deter, or engage each other in the maritime and naval domain, we are joined today by a leading authority on South Asian and Pakistani maritime security and naval affairs, Vice Admiral Ahmed Saeed, president of the leading think tank of Pakistan on maritime affairs, NIMA. Vice Admiral Saab, thank you so much for joining us.
Sir, always pleasure to be in your program. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's start off by asking you, for our international audience, we hear much about swift retort and the role of air power, and we have a long history, and the nation and the world hears a lot about the role of Pakistan Army. But very little is known about the role of Pakistan Navy in different conflict and crises situation. 6 years ago, during the Pulwama crisis, I recall that Pakistan Navy also detected a very sophisticated and advanced Indian diesel electric submarine and played a major role in all major conflicts and crises. So can you provide us some of the key aspects of the role that Pakistan Navy has played in South Asian regional security, but in most significantly, the crisis and conflicts between India and Pakistan?
Yeah, thank you. I think we can see, first start with the classical role which the navies usually have, and that is to deter and defeat the aggression on sea front. That is the primary, and then is to have protected your sea lanes of communication. And third is that wherever required, we have to reach out to protect our interest around the globe. That is the third one. So on this premise, starting from 65 or 71, then we had the crisis standoff in 2000, 2001. Then we had Pulwama, and now this is another which is brewing up. So I think it's evident that Pakistan Navy, even though numerically inferior, but it has grown into a potent force over the year. And starting from 65 war, that we had played a pivotal role in creating a diversion at sea. That was that Operation Devarka was done, in which our submarine Ghazi was also deployed with twofold. We had the our mission at that time. One was to destroy the radar station at Devarka, and secondly was to lure the Indian war machines out so that it can be prosecuted by Ghazi. So at that time, they also had an aircraft carrier, but they didn't venture out. So that is a classical Western seaboard blockade, which was done by the Pakistan Navy at that time. And of a navy which was much superior in number. And then comes to 71. Of course, we had a little surprise in terms of having the first attack on Karachi. But after that, when the Hangor, it struck, again their fleet, it went back, and Hangor was able to cripple INS Kukri, and then Kirpan, which was damaged. So then comes next crisis was 2000, 2001. Again, our fleet was ready, and it was able to deter any aggression towards the seaward side. And then comes the Pulwama, which you have mentioned, that one of their very advanced submarines, which is a French submarine, Scorpion class, it was detected, and it was detected, not only detected, it was also held on contact for about 28 minutes. So this is quite a long time in which technically the commanding officer actually surrendered to the Pakistan Navy's air element. So that is the kind of expertise which we have. So number does not matter. It is the quality of your platform, your training, your equipment that determines your efficacy of any navy.
I think that's a very insightful and informative perspective, Admiral Saab. But let me ask you another question. That Pakistan Navy has a long and illustrious history, and you mentioned the first successful sinking of a warship in a classical submarine attack after the Second World War that PNS Hangor carried out after Second World War by sinking INS Kukri, a guided missile frigate. So I want you to share your perspective on what is the modern role of Pakistan Navy in the current environment. We are hearing a lot of claims and bravado from Indian media claiming that their aircraft carrier has left port a few days ago. And yesterday, Times Now was chest thumping that it is close to Karachi, and people in Karachi should be worried that they can impose blockade on Karachi. And thirdly, we also heard from Indian media that India carried out a surface-to-air missile test from a surface vessel recently. As a leading authority on maritime and naval affairs, how do you look at these Indian claims, and how should Pakistan look at it? Should we be worried?
Yeah, coming towards, I think it's rolling in media, the aircraft carrier movement. But I can tell you that why we go back into a little history again, that since 1951, India has this carrier, but it couldn't be used in 65. It was whisked away towards Andaman Island. Again, in 71 war, it was again taken away towards the Andaman Island. Unfortunate that our submarine, which was PNS Ghazi, it was purely deployed to hunt the aircraft carrier. But unfortunately, before going into that mission, she was laying the mines and she had accident. But again, I think next comes the Pulwama. Again, the aircraft carriers were taken away. So there was a debate in Indian media telling that we, the taxpayer, are paying so much heavy amount for these aircraft carriers, and they do not show up during the conflict. So there was a debate going on. So because of that, I think this time it was a pre-plan that they will try to upbeat the movement of aircraft carriers so that in the public's eye, they're able to gain some legitimacy for that. Reason being that they are looking at now going for a third aircraft carrier because their second aircraft carrier is going to be replaced. So for that, the public office holders, they are not ready to give them that kind of financial leverage. So that is one. But having said that, I just traced out the movement of aircraft carrier. So it was already there since last year, August. It is deployed in the area, which is their own waters. So staying in their own waters for the last about 6-7 months and doing certain drills. So that is what practically the aircraft carrier is doing. Third very important point is that aircraft carrier is not a power projection tool until unless it is a carrier battle group. That means only aircraft carrier cannot project anything worthwhile until unless it has a complete paraphernalia. That is the reason it is called carrier strike group, in which you need to have cruisers, destroyers, frigates, a combination of this. Along with that, you should have the long-range maritime patrol aircrafts. You need to have the fighters. You need to have the helicopters. And above all, you need to have the SSNs so that in all dimensions, this carrier group is protected. So at the moment, in my opinion, they don't have the SSNs. So if they bring in the carrier group without the SSNs, actually it is a carrier group unprotected from its bottom. So I think Pakistan Navy would, specifically the submariners would be very, very happy to receive such kind of lucrative target.
So are you saying that based on historical experience, facts, and the current environment, aircraft carrier, despite its exorbitant cost, large size, is practically, in the absence of SSN and a effective carrier battle group, a sitting duck in front of Pakistan Air Force and Pakistan Navy?
Exactly. I would say exactly what you are saying. Even now, the carrier groups which are well protected, they are also vulnerable now for the reasons that US carrier group in Red Sea, it had to pull back because of the kind of drone attacks being carried out by the Houthis. So nowadays, the role of aircraft carriers, specifically against a neighbor which is just close by, I think they will have to rethink 100 times before they actually put an aircraft carrier into a conflict which is between India and Pakistan.
I think that's a very important news for the international community, for the regional powers, for the Indian leadership, and also for Pakistani nation. Let me ask you briefly, how do you look at the balance of maritime power currently between India and Pakistan? In simple terms, if you were to compare the air, the surface, and the subsurface elements of both countries, how do they match up?
I think we can start by from the statement of Indian Naval Chief, which he gave it in December last year, in which he said, we are worried about the development of Pakistan Navy. It is becoming a 50 ships major combatant navy. So if your adversary is feeling the heat, that means your developmental strategy is working. That is point number one. Point number two is, in a conflict nowadays, it is not the number which matters. It is, again, as I said, the potency of the platform, the man behind the gun, its training, and the equipment that matters. And above all, mustering these forces at a point of interest with its full force. That is how the effect-based operations are nowadays conducted. So third point is, as Pakistan is not an aggressor per se, but our policy is defensive in nature. Having said, if anybody uh, takes up aggression against Pakistan, so we are well geared up to give a befitting response as well. So if we see Indian geography, its coast is about 7,000 plus kilometers, which India has to defend, as compared to our coast, which is uh, just above 1,000 kilometers. So, whereas if you go into the numerical value, even if, so Pakistan has about 125 units, whereas India is close to 293. So even this balance is good enough for Pakistan to be to give a befitting response to our adversary.
I think that's a very important, insightful response. But let me ask you a very important question. In the changing world order, there is an echo of a possible anti-BRI and anti-CPEC global economic corridor linking India with Middle East and Europe, called IMEE, being developed. And it claims and hopes that IMEE corridor aims to replace or challenge the emergence of BRI and CPEC by linking India through maritime trade routes with Middle East, which after Abraham Accord will link Indian products with the European markets via Greece. What do you think will be the role of Pakistan Navy and also maritime security of Arabian Sea in case this thing evolves further?
I think very aptly pointed out that now the world trade is actually trade by connectivity. The more you are connected, the more you will have a better chance to revive your or take the benefit of trade. And that too, the connectivity of sea with the emerging markets. So in that context, CPEC is one option of connectivity, which I say from the Gwadar. But other than that, it has a lot of other options: Central Asian republics, East Asia, Southeast Asia, and towards the Middle East. So it has a very pivotal role to play as far as the connectivity is concerned. But the other part which you have said about the India-Middle East corridor, I think a lot of debate has taken place, and the maritime experts and those who understand the economy of such kind of corridors, which has to travel through the troubled waters, then it is to be put on land, and then again it goes on to the other side of the waters. So shifting of the cargoes on 2 points, it makes it unviable for the reasons that a lot of expenditures will come into play. And once you put this cargo again onto the land, so traveling on land is another domain in which the cargo expenses will increase. So that is the reason this particular idea, since it was floated, it is not gaining any momentum. Still, it is a concept. So I think, having had a little study of these kind of things, the Indian Middle East corridor is a non-starter in my reckoning.
Thank you so much. And let me ask you last final question, and which is the most important one, that in the emerging Pakistan-India crisis, which is perhaps the 7th or 8th crisis since brass tacks, what options does India have in the naval domain? And should Pakistan be worried, or should Pakistan be confident that how such options and why such options can and will be defeated?
I think Pakistan should be, if a word of choice, if I have to take, Pakistan should be careful in a way that things can spiral into any dimension. But having said that, whatever is, because it is a start of the conflict, the kind of indifference which is being created at the moment, I won't say the conflict. Uh, uh, so here we will have to watch carefully the other side's movements, not only what is being given in the media, but what actually is happening on ground. So I think actual the ultimate aim of this particular exercise, which has been repeated over the past also, it is into the political domain. Not more into the military domain. So the first step which they had taken, that means issuing the statements in which they have taken certain measures, I would say the first response from Pakistan has been a very, very befitting, very responsible state. We have condemned the attack. We have offered the condolences to the families, right, like a responsible state, and asked for an inquiry into what is happening. And plus, as a quid pro quo, we have taken certain steps also. So I think this is a very responsibly we have tried to control the escalation, which last time they were able to take it to a little higher side. So now I think diplomatically, politically, it has been taken very well. So the regional leadership, including India, will have to understand if such kind of thing did not produce any results in the last 76 years, it won't be producing any result now as well. So to address the core issues, that is the key. Sit together, address the core issues, specifically the Kashmir issue, which is our core issue, as per the aspiration of the people of Kashmir under the overall framework given by the United Nations. So that is where we have to lead and solve these issues so that region becomes calm and the economic activity takes place and the people of region are able to take the dividend.
Vice Admiral Ahmed Saeed, thank you so much for sparing your precious time and your valuable, insightful analysis and sharing history of the maritime security of this region, the role of Pakistan Navy, the balance of maritime power in this region, and also a very wise and cautious message for the international community and for India that arms twisting and brinkmanship and nuclear arms do not add up. And it is very important for both countries to resolve these differences and disputes peacefully, lawfully, and diplomatically, rather than risk the peace, security, stability, and prosperity of 2 billion people who have hopes and aspiration from their leadership to solve their problems, not to start new conflicts. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, sir.